Hi everyone, here is a quick video on application problem 4-3. If you missed this when we talked about this in class, it'll take you a couple minutes just to do this. It is just how to journalize and post correcting entries. Every now and then when you are finished journalizing or posting, you'll discover that a mistake has been made. So it does have to be corrected. So in the general journal, you can either start a new page and do correcting entries, or you can start them from where you left off. Normally, though, one would put a title on one of the blank lines that says correcting entries, and then you do your entries below that. But in this case, we just have 4 lines available to us here on a blank general journal page, and we need 2 lines for each of these transactions. So let me just show you how to do this quickly. It's on August 1st, it says, you discovered that a transaction for utilities expense was journalized and posted in error as a debit to repairs expense instead of utilities expense for 5/30 memo 66. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, well, let's put the date in here first, but first thing you want to do is charge the correct account. So if it was done in error as a debit to repairs expense instead of utilities expense, we need to now charge it to utilities expense. So we'll do that one first. And then that means that the account that it was journalized to mistakenly, repairs expense, will have to be corrected on the next line. Okay. The source document is mentioned, it's M66. And you are now going to debit the utilities expense for 530 like you should have before. So you'll debit utilities expense for 530, that's correct. But now you have to credit repairs expense for 530, okay? So remember, I always said expense accounts are debited. The fact that you're crediting this expense account means you are canceling out the debit that was incorrectly journalized in the first place, okay? So if you can envision the repairs expense in the general ledger, by mistake, right now it has a $530 debit balance. Once you post this correcting entry as a $530 credit, it will cancel out that debit balance and it'll then have a zero balance, okay? And that will take care of that entry. It's like it didn't even exist. You're just canceling it out. Okay. All right. The second one on August 5th, let's see, says discovered that a cash investment by Vivian Lynham, the owner, was journalized and posted in error as a credit to sales instead of Vivian Lynham Capital. Okay. So let's do a cash investment. So we're going to have to take it out of sales and place it into the capital account. All right, so we're going to put sales first because that was the incorrect account. Cash investment was journalized as a credit to sales. So now you're going to have to debit sales so that it will cancel out that transaction. So this is going to be $1,200 debit to sales. And the correct account that should have been credited is the Vivian Lynham Capital account. That should have been credited in the first place. All right, so in this case, we corrected the incorrect entry first. Okay, so sales was credited. Sales usually does get a credit entry, but it shouldn't have been placed into the sales account. It should have gone into the owner's capital account. So we're going to have to debit the sales account in order to cancel out that credit transaction and give that a zero balance so that error in journalizing and posting never even occurred, okay? And then so the capital account which is normally credited, that gets placed on the second line, okay? So you just have to kind of think these through, read them, make sure you're reading them carefully, and keep in mind the debit part of the entry goes first. So sometimes the correcting entry is going to go on the first line, sometimes it's going to go on the second line. All right, make sure that you are being careful with how you're reading it. One of the accounts is going to be placed in here correctly, and the other account is going to be corrected. Okay? All right. Thanks.